It is, and it hurts. And because of the protection that they have in accordance with law, Mass General laws, not the Philadelphia lawyer, these are laws written in ink, Mass General law books, that gives them the protection that they have and gives this committee the direction that they've got to take. It isn't an option. It isn't a choice. When we meet in executive session and we talk with counsel, we talk pretty bluntly and frankly with each other. And we know when we're done, the actions that this committee takes, either as a committee or as an individual that's on this committee, subjects this district to some serious exposure with suits. That's what it is. It isn't someone saying, I don't like you anymore. It's a suit in a court of law. And they don't sue for a package of Twinkies. So, with all due respect to Mr. Buckley, and whoever else may speak after I'm done, and I mean it with respect, I really mean it with respect, we have to march as one, and we have to march in accordance to law. Now, if I wanted to voice my opinion, there'd be no need to come to the meetings because you'd have it all. I'd give it to you on a Monday night. I've got some coming up this Monday night, little tease there for you, about some things going on public. But I can make them public on the other side of my life. I can't do it here. Because I respect this committee, and I respect the professionals that we work with. Difficult at times. You have no idea. You really don't. How we sit here and agonize over it's just not right. It's not fair. Just what Mr. Buckley said a minute ago. People have a right to know. They have a right to know how I feel. They have a right to know what I'm going to do with my vote. But because of the damn law, you can't do it. And it hurt me, and it hurt me a lot not too long ago. And everybody in this table knows what I'm talking about. And it's not over yet. And I can't wait for it to be over so that I can talk. And I'll take that opportunity when the time is right. And I'm not going to subject my colleagues or the district to a suit. But bear in mind the fact that when you talk about not renewing a contract or releasing somebody, and Chuck made it very clear, Mr. Singleton, when he said there's a difference between not a renewal of a contract and being discharged. In the private sector, where I've been my entire life, it happens every single day, and happens frequently too. But in public life, it's kind of rare. So when it does happen, it's a big deal. And it's looked at as that, and with concern and with why, because you don't know. And the reason why you don't know everything is because we can't tell you everything. Because if we could, you would. And if we could, I would. It doesn't work that way. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Eldridge. Anybody else? Mr. Tringale.
My own son spent 7 years at Millville Elementary, between preschool, kindergarten, all the way through grade 5. I'm a teacher in another district. I've worked for a lot of principals. There are a few people in education I have more respect for than Eileen Tetreault. It was definitely not a personality issue. It's not a academic performance issue in relation to the students or the staff. It's agonizing that we cannot tell you. But I, for one, stand 100% behind the superintendent's decision. And truly, there is no one really in education I have more respect for than Eileen Tetreault.
Well, it's a funny way to show it.
Oh.
Mrs. Robin.
And I just wanted to say, it is the superintendent's decision to hire and fire, but I understand the thought process, and I support her 100%.
Kathy, Brian? Before you go, I just want, never mind, go.
No, again, my children went through Millville Elementary, all 3 of them and stuff, and Katie started kindergarten there, and I think it was first class who fully went through. Professionally, utmost respect for Eileen Tetreault, I do, and I've always had a good relationship with her, but again, I stand behind Mrs. Schaefer-Hood in the decision that she needs to make.
Mr. Singleton, I would like to add one thing, is Ms. Shaver-Hood now has an opportunity. And Mr. Buckley pointed out there's vacancies, there's opportunity to bring new talent in. He said some change is good. She has an opportunity to do that now. She has an opportunity to build her team. and have a team that reflects her philosophy on education. And hopefully lead Blackstone and Millville and the BMR school district into the future with leadership at the high school principal level, the middle school level, and elementary school level that will give us better schools for the future. So I want to say I support you. It's going to be a tough task to get accomplished, but I think you're up to it. So,
Thank you. Mr. Buckley.
Well, I don't support the superintendent in her decision. I let her know that. And maybe I'm the most voiceful person here for children. I really don't care about what I can't tell you and what I can tell you.
I take
well,
exception
excuse me,
to that.
excuse me.
No,
Excuse me, I have the
excuse me.
floor.
No,
You're
just
not
hold on.
gonna step children in the picture when you're comparing me with you.
I'm sorry.
That's, yeah, you can rephrase
Did your
it.
children attend Millville? No, your children went to Mount.
Get to the point, don't
I
make it
had
personal.
three. Two went to Mountain, one went to Blackstone.
Don't make it personal, make your
Yeah,
point.
you know what?
My point is
keep
exactly
it clean.
what my point is. I have had to terminate people in my job. I have been terminated myself. I've always hoped that I would be, that people that reported to me or worked in our organization were treated like I was on those fateful days. And the people close to the operation of a principal. Think about this. Who else, Mr. Singleton, you had mentioned this, when you first moved to Millville. One of the first
that's one of
people
the things I wanna talk about.
you met was Eileen Tetreault. Anyone that's registered their child for school met probably Mrs. O'Neill and Mrs. Tetreault. When you walk in there at the variety show last week, I think she went on Friday, I was told, I'm sure that people recognize that, anything that goes on. In fact, it was funny not to see her there Monday or Tuesday night. Usually she's been at town meeting. Back in a former life when I was the moderator, I always counted on her to make sure everything was taken care of. But my point is that if a dismissal was, or if a termination, a non-renewal was going to come along, that I think this should have been, people should have been briefed about this before finding out secondhand. Oh, her job has been posted. What happened? This is a poor example of leadership, Ms. Schaefer.
Michael,
I'm sorry.
make
I'm
a
sorry.
This is where
point,
we need
don't
to
make
go.
it personal, please.
I'm pointing it out to the superintendent of schools who made this decision.
I
It
understand,
was
but you're making
not-
it personal.
It was not appropriate. It was
In
not
your opinion.
done. It was any professional standard. Anyone that's worked in industry, anyone that's worked in schools, don't want to be treated like yesterday's lunch. Okay? If you wanted to make a change and you've made the decision, I don't support it and I don't agree with it. I think that you need some experience and some leadership on your elementary level and a person that can mentor this. What message are you sending to the people that you're going to expect to come out and vote for an override that you've pretty much, Millville, just kind of passed it off? I don't support that. I also want to go on record tonight as not supporting moving the preschool to the complex. That has been discussed as well in public session. Those are two things that I feel are not in the best interest of this school, or this school district. And it's not in the best interest of the children and the people of Millville. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buckley just touched on it, and I have said this before. Some people here on the committee probably tired of hearing it. I believe Mrs. Fowler at one of your meetings, I also mentioned it, but on camera and to the rest of you who have not. My wife and I purchased our home in Millville 10 years ago. And we were looking in Uxbridge, Blackstone, Bellingham, even in North Smithfield, Millville. What brought me to Millville? There were three things that brought me to Millville. First thing was St. Augustine's. We wanted to know what the school was, what the church was, and what the town was. That's what we used to decide where we were going to move. First place I went to was St. Augustine's on a Sunday. And as soon as I walked through the door, now I had been in Bellingham, lived in Bellingham for 2 years, went to church every Sunday. Not one person ever said, "Hi, how are you? My name is," okay? Went to Millville, went to St. Augustine's. I wasn't even 3 feet in the door, and Margaret Carroll came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "My name is Margaret. I've not seen you before. Welcome to the church." Right there, good feeling, nice place to be. Secondly, what did I do? I wanted to see the school. It was Christmas week. I picked up the phone to leave a message on the phone. Surely nobody's going to be there Christmas week. Mrs. Tetreault picked up the phone and answered it. When I explained to her we were looking to buy a home, I had one in mind in Millville. I wanted to see what the school was like. I asked, could I come in and visit? She said, can you do it this afternoon? So my wife and I and my son went in that day and had a tour. And I have got to tell you, I've never in my life ever met a principal, or teacher for that matter, who had so much compassion for the facility that they were in. So that was decision number 2, to move in. And then decision number 3 was the town itself. I just liked the old small town concept. So those 3 reasons are the reasons that I moved in. Now, I've had nothing but good interaction with Mrs. Tetreault. I have the highest respect for her. But I'm sitting here telling you today that regardless of, and with all due respect to Mr. Buckley, his opinion is he doesn't like it. The fact of the matter is, law is law. And we're not hiding behind Harold Gould. We're not hiding behind a Mass General law. We're following the law. So that being said, as much as I can tell you, I have the greatest respect for the woman. This decision was not made in a week. There was conversation about this. And I support the decision made by Ms. Shaverhood.
When was that conversation, Mr. Chairman?
What does that mean, Mr.
When
Buckley?
was the conversation? Was it in public session, or was it an executive session? And if so, where are the minutes, those executive session minutes, when this was discussed?
There was conversation with all of us that the contract was up for renewal. Was there not? It was here, at this table.
In public session?
I don't recall, Michael.
Well, if it's in private session, then it should have, there should be minutes, and the ending result is the lack of reappointment. So those executive session minutes become public, because the action's been taken. So I'd like a copy of the executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. Bottom line is,
if I have to go to the Attorney General, Mr. Singleton, I will.
you know what, I've got the floor, right?
Yeah.
I gave you the respect not once but twice to say what you had to say. Can I finish
And I
mine?
just wanted to make that point.
Can I
to
finish
you,
mine, Mr.
Singleton.
Buckley?
Fine,
Thank
go
you.
right ahead.
Thank you. Bottom line is, I support the decision. That's all I can say. And if I'm supporting it, then I believe it's a good reason. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I understand that you're not happy, you want answers. We can't give them to you. And as much as Mr. Buckley's saying you deserve those answers, I agree with that. You do deserve the answers. But we are obligated to follow the law, and the law says we can't give it to you. Mrs. Kirby.
Thank you. You mentioned Margaret Carroll.
I did.
Her name is on this petition, as is Police Chief Landry. We've tried very hard to find answers in any way possible. Mr. Faulkner mentioned that Ms. Shaverhood is compiling an administrative team that suits her vision. And quite frankly, that doesn't speak to an issue with Mrs. Tetreault's performance. It speaks to a personal issue or a personal difference in opinion. And professionally, you have far more experience than I do in this purview. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but I'm asking that, like your bylaws state, like your mission statement states, you are asking for community participation. You believe it is, quote, essential to provide mutual confidence and respect. You're asking the taxpayers for your confidence and respect. You're asking us to personally respect your opinion and your decision, and to then bring our children to the school. We're members of the group, the parents who are actively involved. We speak with the principal, if not daily, certainly weekly. We want the best for our children. I am not looking, personally, I am not looking to have a personality contest. I want someone who's in there who cares about the children. And if you can't speak of specific legal issues, like I said, I'm not looking to put this district in harm's way. I pay taxes into it. I'll be paying for any extra legal bills that are incurred. And Town of Millville, as we all know, has no money to spare, so I will personally be writing it out of my personal family checkbook to foot that bill. I'm not looking to do that. None of us here are looking to do that. But we have had silence, Superintendent, complete silence from you. And if you can't speak to the reasons and for your decision, there needs to be a way to move forward so that people aren't speaking or being told they can't speak or being afraid to speak for fear of reprisal. There needs to be a message from you, Superintendent. We need to know are there plans to, if you're not willing to reconsider your decision, as you've all kind of made it clear, for the most part, it is a done deal,